How's it going, everybody? I thought about doing something a little bit different today. Kind of spurred on from one of my old friends who is an IFR pilot. He's actually asked me to go flying this weekend um, in the 172 G1000 model. Um, so he's been an IFR rated pilot before, but he's kind of like I would assume like most people, they kind of are fond of one plane, one or another. So he used to fly a lot the a G2 Cirrus aircraft for a long period of time. Well, the flight school that we fly out of a lot, they got rid of the Cirrus, so he was looking and looking for a newer plane to fly, something with speed, but something with better avionics and whatnot. Pretty much the best that they could do was best that he could do was find the G1000 Cessna that they have at the aviation club. So so now he's coming up close to his IFR recertification and trying to learn a whole avionics suite. And since that he said that I have G1000s on some of my sim planes, that he definitely would love to have some help in getting familiarization and learning all the buttons. So I don't fly a lot. I'm kind of old school where I do like the steam gauges, but I do like the functionality of the G1000. So for one, I'm gonna probably today I'm gonna simulate what we're gonna probably do this weekend, which is a quick flight from our hometown, St. Augustine. So we're gonna be flying out of Northeast Florida Regional, which is KSGJ in St. Augustine, and I'm gonna depart. We're gonna fly VFR, but then we're gonna practice the instrument approach to Keystone Heights, 42J. The problem with that, and I got to get with him on this, is that our winds are probably not going to favor us for shooting that approach. So we might have to go to a different airport. Because after the storm front that's coming through right now comes, we probably have reverse winds at like probably at 300s or whatnot, maybe like 250. I have a completely different direction. Um, Either way, right now in the sim, and I have FS Global Real Weather flying right now, still not 100% the greatest to shoot this approach in the sim today because it is going to be a heavy crosswind for the Cessna. And then we're probably definitely going to be at almost a tailwind for possibly by the weekend after the storm front goes through. But nonetheless, what I did find interesting um, when I was looking at it the other day is we'll pull up Sky Vector here. I want to show you something. Being used to learning the IFR flying um, through like the CAT ratings and the I ratings for Pilot Edge, and then applying that understanding to um, what we're gonna do today, I was kind of confused for a second. I had to actually do some research because and let's get this zoomed in here. So here's Florida IFR chart. So really, if I take away this right here, see, there's really very little en route structure, and this is not exactly the longest flight in the world at all. It's only 65 miles with the deviations that we're putting in there. So I was struggling to try to find, and of course, no routes came up here. Um, and SimBrief didn't come up with any routes. So I was kind of interested. I had to do some research to try to figure out what would be the IFR route. I think I was pulling out of the back of my mind that in some cases, if you're less than 60 or less than 40 or something like that miles away from A nav point, that could be the possibility. Now, of course, St. Augustine does not have um, a SID to leave there, so obviously you would be kind of like almost an untowered. It is a towered airport, but it would be almost like an untowered approach where you leave with your minimums and then be vectored into something. So I think I went, and I don't remember where I went to, but I finally got some sort of vector, and I kind of realized that um, if we're slant golf, like with the G1000, for sure, everything that's a GPS point can also be a fix. So from what I'm gathering is, like I said, probably this weekend we'll be taking off 3-1. If I pull up the airport diagram, we'll be taking off 3-1 probably this weekend. Right now the winds are 150 at 14 knots, so we'll be taking off runway 13. So obviously we'll probably get some sort of vector heading off takeoff, and then earlier in the day the winds were a little bit more calm and more off the sea, so I think it was a little bit different departure, and it gave me Brado right there as a fix um, direct to Keystone. Now these other two waypoints that I have in here are the approach that I set up. So and then here's the other thing. The other thing is that this is a restrictive area for the military base out there, airspace. I guess in IFR conditions, if they're clearing you for something, then you're going to be cleared to go through that area. But because we're going to be flying VFR and then practicing IFR approaches, we're probably going to avoid that area. So now what I've looked at is that it would be, we'll take off, we'll hit Brado and Cara, that would kick us out away from the military airspace, and then that way we can go in. And like I said, there's very little en route structure, so it's kind of hard to figure out what your approach is. Something that probably, if I got into more of the I ratings again, I might find more answers to and understand that better. I guess you kind of get into that picture where when you're doing the I ratings on Pilot Edge, you kind of already know what you're guaranteed to get as far as you should file this kind of approach or you should file this kind of departure. ATC will change it. Now in the real world, it might be a little bit more uh, kind of like being in a non-towered area or something like that, where you get vectors and get into somewhere. So for that purpose, and with that being said, also I would assume that Brado, if we weren't taking off 3-1 and we were taking off 1-3 instead, going this way, that maybe Seabag, Astor, or Mateo might be a fix that we would get. So with that being said, I am going to change Brado to Mateo, and we'll get vectors over and then hit Cara. And then I believe honestly we would be going direct to Keystone and then request in the middle of that we were going to shoot the eye on the RNAV 05 approach, which is out here. But like I said, more or less kind of splitting the difference between we're going to go out VFR and practice IFR approaches. This is kind of the route we're going to be taking real world on this weekend. So this is what we're going to do. Short flight. We'll see how long it should take, but we're going to start up from the beginning and get going. So that's it. I know I'm going to have to change that one fix though. So we're in our little Cessna G1000. This is not the Carenado. This is the Laminar one. So all right, beacon on and battery on. Whoop. Phone just fell. All right. Oh, you know what? think I just forgot to. I had this set up for a little while. I literally think that my avionics were on that whole time, and I think we ran down the battery. So let's get that reset. No. Battery on. Oh. Am I missing something here? Let's see. That's interesting. Let's see here. We might have to instruments, systems, instruments, engine, G1000, everything's good. Primaries, so we would want to see the battery. Sensors, everything's good there. Electrical. Batteries, everything's good. Done. This was just on a second ago. Hang on, let me make sure. No, I'm not paused. Well, that's weird. All right. Beacon on. Maybe I gotta wait for the screen. Well, we'll go beacon on, and we'll start her up. All right, fuel full. Fuel pump on. There. No, we're dead. Battery's dead. Well, we will just restart that flight. In menu, flight configuration. There we go. Resume flight. No. Go back to 12. That's weird. If I fixed all my systems, I just don't understand why. So let's turn that back on. It's showing me on. Let's really go. We'll quit and we'll start it back over. All right, sorry for the delay. Hey Max Crit, how you doing? Developer tab and oh, you know what? Dang it! I wish I would have looked. That was weird. It was just working. So. Oh man, it has been a struggle the last couple of weeks of actually getting any time to do anything for herself. Wanna chillax doing some American Truck Simulator. Maybe this weekend I'll get a little American Truck Simulator in, but I'm actually happy to get back in the air. That's gonna be definitely fun. It's been probably about 8 weeks, and like I said, it's really nice. It's something to possibly be inspired about flying flight sim of when you have real world pilots and even IFR rated pilots that are looking to people who have the ability to help them learn newer concepts and newer systems via the flight simulator. So that's good. So yeah, Friday night he's gonna come over here and we're gonna do pretty much exactly what I'm doing tonight. And so I'm just trying to get myself trying to find all the little nitnoy things of and familiarize myself with the G1000 a little bit more. I think I got a pretty good concept of it. Um, Now I know I have heard a few times that when it comes to IFR ratings in G1000 aircraft, that sometimes instructors turn off like certain aspects of the G1000, and then they become somewhat more difficult to understand how to fly it, how to do procedures with the way that that would work. So, case in point, I think turning off the GPS mode or the GPS navigation mode and being able to navigate off of Nav 1, Nav 2 via using the G1000. I think that'd be an interesting thing. For me, especially, I would definitely not right now, with my personal experience, go straight to Pilot Edge on a G1000 for sure. Because I would want to make sure that I was able to do the things I might need to do that I kind of don't even think about using on Steam gauges. And thanks, Max Crit, by the way, for that input. So we'll get that going here, and do have a little track IR going today just to help into the. Well, I want to go that way a little bit more. To help in the GAs, definitely for sure. It's definitely fun being able. All right, there we go. All right, so we got that beacon on. Got our fuel mixture all the way full. Throttle quarter. Fuel pump on. 2, 3. All right, fuel pump off. Mixture to lean. Now let's turn the key. All right, got her started. Let's turn our alternator on and avionics on. And you know what? I know what that sound was. That sound was FS Global Real World changing. So let's let that download once again. Alright, so let's get in here, and then like I said, I wanted to change that one flight plan. So knowing the G1000 or the 54530, I realized one thing, that you don't really have to do a whole lot of navigational planning over there, but you can actually do it right here, which is kind of interesting and nice to know. And I was talking to my buddy Hugh, and I said, I kind of understand why it is difficult at times to be able to learn a new system like this, because one of two things are happening. For one, you might be afraid of burning up the battery and just sitting on the runway looking at the different things you can do, or you're burning fuel with the engine on. So the sim is a great idea to be able to get those concepts in, for sure. So we want to go down to Brado, and we're going to get rid of Brado. Hang on. We got to go back. Let's go down to Brado. I keep hitting the wrong button. Brado, let's clear that. Okay. You know what? Let's just go direct to Caro. That's fine. Okay. For the purposes of this. Alright, so we'll set that later. One thing that kind of, I think this was like 11.26 that really upset me. This airport I did in the gateway, and I put the ATIS in the communications, but they pulled it off for some reason, or something didn't go whatnot. So there's no ATIS at St. Augustine, which is something I need to go into WET and fix. I just haven't had the time to do it. So our flight plan is good to go. We can go back to getting that off. The other things that I like to put on my on mine is going to be the wind, obviously. We're going to go option 1. I like option 1. Want to have the DME, bearing to GPS, and nav 2, which, let's say nav 1. Okay, so you can put GPS over here and nav 1 over here. So that's nav 1. 130. Okay, so cool. So we got that set. We're all in there. RPM. That's something else. Okay, so my RPM is pretty low. We want to be at 1,000. Actually, using the Alright, so we got a little bit of something stickiness going on. I actually do have the new throttle quadrant set from Desktop Aviator. And actually, this is the first time I'm actually going to get to use it. And we'll just do prop and mixture and get those squared away. And I guess it's going to want the prop too. Throttle mixture done. So those are all calibrated. Alright, that's done. So we want to get. Okay, so I had it way leaned. So let's get to 1,000. And let's see that EGT. Okay, that EGT is pretty high. Alright, so our ATIS for St. Augustine, we're going to pull that off of FS Global Real Weather. And we're looking at 150 at 14 knots. And our pressure is 3001. So Barrow's on the outside. 3001's in. 20 feet. Okay, so we're going to go altitude. We're going to go 3,000 is going to be our flight altitude, but being that's where we're going to need to be at. So we're going to go 45. Okay. 45. Alright, got that set. We're going to get our nav and taxis on. And alright, I think we're all set up. Got our GPS set. Communications, we would have gotten that set. I want to make sure. Okay, so we're on the middle. Both tanks. Alright, so we're good there. Alright, so we're going to release the parking brake here. Alright. So I've been to this airport a handful of times and actually work near the airport. So definitely when the first time that I started flying an X-plane, I saw this. It was still a default scenery. So it was definitely one of my first sceneries I ever developed for the Gateway. And it's probably going to be due for there's a lot of things I've learned how to do in WED now compared to what I did. So I definitely need to update this for sure. But the airport's also actually under construction in the terminal and tarmac area over there right now. So I'm kind of going to wait and see what that looks like and model the sim with the new configuration. So we're gonna have a long taxi, um, because we're going to runway 13. I'm actually kind of, I don't like sitting so low. But yes, so for the first time, it should be very interesting and exciting this weekend, flying G1000 Cessna. It's kind of funny to say that because I mean the avionics suite is probably as much as the plane, but it'll be fun. Taxiing a little fast right here, so pull back a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna take Bravo taxiway. Make sure it's clear. And we got clearance to taxi all the way. Sim's looking beautiful as usual. FS Global Real Weather with Ultra Weather XP 2.4. Waiting for Ultra Weather 2.5. And the traffic communications you can hear are from XATC, which I really do enjoy. Definitely gives you that nice ambiance of the missing ATC if you're not connected to a Pilot Edge or something like that. So really like it. So yeah, there's the main terminal area over there, and they are doing some major construction to the amount of. I'm pretty sure they're hardening it and making the taxi area way bigger. So um, interested to see if they're doing it to try to. I know it's part of the sustainment, airport sustainment program. But I'm interested to see they do have some regional flights out of this airport, but I'm kind of interested to see if the airport's going to end up getting a little bit more visibility or um, try to get more of like a regional or charter flights going out of there. But two flight schools, um, and this building right here is Northrop Grumman, and that's where I'm at. That's where I work. So I haven't flown in the Cessna in a while, and anytime I do fly in the Cessna, it's for sure either the 152 from the Nihydran mod, or the Carenado 152 with the Nihydran mod, or the Airfoil Labs 172. Um, kind of very interested in getting the G1000 model that they're going to have coming out, the Evo model. Because I love flying the airfoil lab system for sure. Okay. Still a little bit still a little bit fidgety. I'm still looking, like I said, since I've upgraded to 11.3, I haven't really had time to mess around with it, but I definitely want to use some of the new response curve adjustments for these pedals. Um, First, I want to calibrate them just to make sure that they're back where they need to be. Right toe, left toe. Why is that? Seems like it's sticking. It's time for new rudder pedals anyway. It is definitely time. What do you do for work? I'm quality inspector actually for aircraft. All right, so my response curve. See, I have really so that's a response curve. So how do you adjust this? Okay, so I want that down. So I want to kind of do like a more of a. I want to get rid of that point right there. So I want to put a kind of a point maybe right there, and I want to drop that down. So I want to move that there, and I want to really have a little bit less um, initial movement. So almost creating a null zone, because the sensitivity is way. I want to kind of do that. Let's see how that works. Hi, Wisconsin. How are you doing, man? Okay, so I think that feels a lot better. Where it's kind of like a slow movement at the beginning. All right, so we're here. Guess what do we want to do here? All right, first thing I need to do is I need to set my heading bug. So we're gonna go 1-3. So heading bug set for 1-3-0. All right, so we got our altitude set. I think I'm gonna hand fly this for the most part. So we already got our GPS set up, and RPMs are good. I won't bore you guys with a run up of one sorts and whatnot. We'll check final here. Make sure our trim looks good. We'll go flaps down 1 notch, and here we go. All right, landing light on, taxi off. How's Iowa doing? Alright, nobody on final. Let's come out here and line up. So obviously IFR, we would have gotten a clearance for specific heading and altitude. Departure, which would be Jacksonville departure. Okay, so brakes there. Line up and wait. Alright, mixture is full. Fuel pump on. Some people say on, some people not for a high wing, but we're going to put it on. And alright, here we go. It's been a long time since I've been in the Cessna. Okay. Oh. Alright, there's 50. There's 60. Yeah. Nice. Alright. Alright. Flying runway heading. To 500 and maybe some other heading after that. Gotta get my trim set in here. Okay, flaps can come up. Alright, trying to adjust my trim right now. So 500. Looking for like 800 feet per minute. This is definitely gusty up here. Okay, so when we got some sort of vector that comes this way. Trying to finish up work. Alright. Good. So we got our vector to car. Yeah, which is something like that, and that's nice to see over on the MFD of so down. We want to trim down. Okay, so you know what I just realized is my trim panel is reversed, so I want to adjust that. Okay, so rudder trim, elevator trim, and I guess I want to make sure we'll try that later, but gotta reverse that. Okay, so all right, it's a little bit better. It's like when you do something that you know is just not working right, and you definitely kind of like muscle memory, you know, like, oh, if I'm trimming down, why is it going up? Alright, so we definitely want to pull back on power here a little bit. And we're at 17. We're going to 44. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go nav hold, autopilot. And now I guess that's something interesting that I want to make sure here. Is it going off nav 1 or is it just going off GPS? I guess it's GPS. If I went nav 1, trying to finish up work. So, oh, okay, right. So, I guess that's where I'm looking for. I'm looking for, how would I switch my nav source? So, my comms are right there. PA, DMA ADF. Would it be my CDI? If I change my CDI, that's what it would follow? No. Okay, so my versus autopilot heading altitude nav. So I guess I would just hit nav. Okay, so there's GPS. Ah, okay. All right. All right. So maybe because I don't have an VOR or such, and we also want altitude hold too when we get there. So will it stop at 45 on its own? I want to hit that. Nope. I'll go 45. And I just, nope, I don't want heading mode. I want nav mode, GPS. Okay, so don't hit the wrong button. Oh, scenery's looking great. As usual, ortho in Florida. Okay, so if you guys are just joining us, I am currently practicing a VFR flight that I'm going to do with one of my friends who is taking me up in the plane and practicing his IFR. Well, he's doing one of his approaches for the month, but he's coming up for a recert, and the only plane that he can fly that he's actually happy with would be the 172 with G1000s, but he hasn't used G1000s very often. He's kind of the old school, likes the, so we want to go nose up here. So he likes the certain planes, and with the G1000, he hasn't used it very much. So he wants to get refamiliarized and asked me if I could come along and with the aid of the simulator and helping in knowledge, being able to help him out so that he can get more familiar with this. and how to shoot approaches. So this is going to be pretty much what I'm looking at next week, or no, not next week, Saturday. My only problem is I think we're going to have a problem trying to shoot the approach we're going to do into Keystone Heights, because I think the winds are going to be non-favorable for that approach. There's only one runway that has approaches at Keystone Heights, and actually I can show you. So we're going from St. Augustine, Florida to Keystone Heights. Now Keystone Heights has two approaches, a VOR DME, which I have shot in a previous video with a PC-12. But the RNAV approach, so both of them go to runway 5. Currently, right now, we got winds coming from the south at 130. And I'm probably guessing when this storm front comes through, our winds are going to change completely the opposite direction, which still doesn't make 05 favorable this weekend. So might have to switch up where we shoot approaches at. We might have to go to like Gainesville or something like that, or it'll just be a VFR day and we're there. So now that's one that I'm trying to figure out, is why wouldn't it have held altitude? So we got the hold there, but I think that's so. And then this is one of the other things I have found with the Desktop Aviator, is that you kind of gotta get the trim. If you go autopilot mode, it's trimming automatically, but because the actual unit over here is not changing, the flight sim keeps fluctuating, and so you really got to kind of go back in here and reset and kind of get the real trim right here to match what you have in the sim. So the big thing is we're at 46 now. What we can do is we can lean our mixture, and let's get our, not 100% sure on the RPM for this Cessna. Oh, it should be 25. Oh, it's been a while. So 2500. And we'll lean for that. Alright. So we're doing our first part here. One thing I guess I want to definitely make sure I do, or obviously VFR. Now let's go to our flight plan, because I believe I put Budar in, but really what I want to do is I want to load a procedure. So let's go to procedure. We're going to select an approach, and we'll do the RNAV 5 LNAV approach, and we're going to start from Budar. Okay, minimums. Oh, that's pretty cool. Minimums off. Okay, so you can go back, clear there. Transition vectors. And let's hit that. Okay, enter. Enter, and we'll load. Okay, so we're going back to our flight plan, and we'll get rid of Budar. Okay. And we'll get rid of that one. So there's the approach, 42J. Alright, so like I said, short, quick little flight, kind of get the sense of how the G1000 works. so that I can at least help my buddy figure out the. So definitely, and then trying to understand what things you would want to know using. So the insets right there, what things you would need or use for. Is that over there? No. So that inset doesn't change. Traffic. So declutter. 1. So there's some good functions right there is decluttering. So we're gonna go, we're almost to Kara. We got 2.4 nautical miles. And I kind of messed that up because we should go to Budar. But at this point in time, let's say we are probably, we scroll down here, we're about 11 miles away from the airport. So we would be telling ATC that our intentions are to land using the approach. So once we hit Kara, and I'll show you that again in the chart. So we're right about there. No, that's 28 miles, but we're kind of in a directional mode. We're kind of like right there. So I think we will go. We're going to activate our approach. Okay. All right, and we're going to activate it. We kind of should have passed. Like I said, we would have had Budar already in there, so we were at least heading in that direction. I wouldn't have necessarily activated the approach before I got to Kara. I don't know what that big ring is that's right there. So let's get the range going so we can see. Okay, so that's that would be Palaka's airspace. So that's cool. It's good to see. So it's kind of is right now. This is real world weather right now. Obviously, it's nighttime though, but the clouds are rolling in, and if you look at sky vector, I don't have the radar coming in. Let's do that. But the let's wait and see here. But the storm front is rolling in. It's gonna be here soon. Unlike up north, it's gonna be some nasty storms. But let's see. Pretty much above Tennessee. It's not as much rain, but probably snow. For sure. Nasty weather. It's been nasty weather this winter, for sure. I know my parents and I got some friends in Massachusetts, and man, the East Coast and the North has been getting pounded this year, for sure. So now here's something that I do is interesting for interesting to know for an IFR. So wanting to know how far away from a waypoint is. So GPS wise, we're 24.2 nautical miles away. Now, if we were looking for like if we were doing VOR approaches, or we were using VORs to figure out where to go. Okay, so that's really nice. I like that. So right here you can see the inset will show what our altitude we're looking for once we hit that point. And like I said, I'll pull up the procedure again so we can kind of see. I'm going to turn the weather off. So this approach, here's the plate. So we're going to hit Budar and 3,000 feet. No procedure turn is necessary. So we get 3,000. It needs to be above 3,000 with the line being below it. So at or above 3,000. So once we get about, let's see, about we technically don't even need to descend, but we can make it easy on ourselves. I mean, this leg is 5 nautical miles long, and in a Cessna, when you're shooting long approaches, holy moly! I mean, these are mostly designed for faster moving things for sure. So when you're doing a long approach like this, you have plenty of time to get yourself ready to go, and that'll be the nice thing. So for sure we don't necessarily have to descend down to 3,000 just yet, um, but I do like that being posted right there. So now it's kind of a visual representation. We know we need to do be at 3,000 when we start hitting our points. Omer, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the channel. GA Sim Pilot here. So so like I said, there's our approach. The winds are not favoring it whatsoever, and they probably won't be favoring it on Saturday too. So we'll have to keep that in mind for sure. AWAS is 124 but 275, so we are going to get that dialed in. So COM 1, we got 275, and my panel, my G1000 or GNS 530 panel isn't configured for the G1000, so I'm gonna have to do some updates for that. All right, so we're gonna swap that over.
Keystone Air Park weather. Wind 160 at 11 gust 18. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 2,300 broken. 4,300
so
overcast.
Really, we're in kind of
broken. Temperature 18.
IFR conditions for sure. Starting to move into it. So 160 at 11, which is going to be almost pretty much on the borderline of a Cessna's crosswind component trying to shoot this approach. And this would necessarily be one of those where, if you were an IFR pilot and you were in IFR conditions, so the altimeter is 290,
altimeter 2991.
2991. So we're gonna get the barrel set. All right, got it set. So that it'd be one of those where the approach would be so severe that the plane wouldn't be able to handle it, and you may have to go to your alternate for sure. So let's check our engines. Oil pressure looks good. Oil temp good. EGT leaned up pretty good. Fuel flow 8.6. RPM 25.
Keystone Air Park weather.
All right, so we got our altimeter.
Wind
160.
Visibility more than 10.
Okay, so we can switch off that. We'll reset our heading bug just in case, just to have that ready in the right direction. Okay, so we're 14 nautical miles away from Mugar. So welcome to the stream. Just kind of a casual stream tonight, getting on. I normally fly and stream GA aircraft for sure. Every once in a while I'll get out there and do something different, but today we're recreating a flight that I'll be doing with a pilot this weekend on Saturday in the same plane as well too, 172 G1000 model. So it'll be fun and interesting. So thank you so much, sir. And I gotta look over here to find out what we got there. Toxic Trooper, thank you for the follow. Thank you, man. Glad you're enjoying what you see. We're getting close to doing this, so The RNAV approach is going to be full GPS approach. So, and it should have LPV, I'm pretty sure. So that will even do our vertical navigation as well. So all we got to do is pretty much control the airspeed of the airplane. So we're 10 nautical miles from Buhar. Again, like I said, you can get down to 3,000, but you wouldn't have to. And also knowing that IFR, you would be required to do whatever ATC said. So until ATC said you need to get down, you wouldn't get down. I think that was one of the things that I'm trying to figure out, though, is when we had altitude set at 45, why it didn't stop on its own. So that's something I'm gonna have to investigate and try to figure out. Kind of like turboprops have altitude select, meaning hold at once you reach that altitude, even if you used indicated airspeed to get there or vertical speed to get there and be there. So, Apaxis, welcome. How you doing? How's everybody doing? So it's 10:45. So definitely pretty much have enough time to get this on the ground and time for bed. So we can see our approaches coming up. Low and slow in a Cessna. And it's really gusty. I mean, you can see it. There's a lot of elevator inputs, but I mean, she looks beautiful today. This is a livery I created that I put on the org store, or in the org forums. I gotta update that tail number. I keep forgetting to do that, but it's just not a realistic font. So I got some new fonts, so I definitely need to get in there and redo that. But just looking stunning today. Do I fly a Cessna IRL? I'm just on the very cusp of getting started in my PPL. But we just recently had a baby, and she's 4 months old now. So that's pretty much going to put the PPL on hold. However, I do get to go up whenever time permits. Go up with a friend of mine who is a retired gentleman that has his pilot's license, and he goes up. Probably he goes up about twice a month. He's an IFR rated pilot that's coming up on his research soon, so he's asking me for help getting familiarized with the G1000s because he's never flown a G1000. Well, he's got proficiency to be able to fly it now. The big thing is he's got his IFR research coming up, and he's got to get as much time as he can on this so that he knows and understands exactly how the G1000s work. I can completely understand how when you get into, everybody likes their own things, right? All right, so we got our altitude set at 3,000. I'm gonna go vertical speed, and we're gonna go down. Let's go down. I keep canceling it because I keep looking over the wrong. So let's go 500 feet per minute. And we're going to put our power, drop our power down a little bit. And we'll trim that down. Same here, minus the baby, yeah. Definitely a Cessna is going to be probably my main PPL usage, just for the fact that it's the cheapest thing you can get it done in. Excuse me. All right, so starting this approach, we're getting close. We need to be at or above 3,000 to start that approach. So we're getting close. 0.9 nautical miles. Okay. Oh, they have pipers there. Nice. Okay, so here we go, and we gotta get rid of some more speed here. We're getting a little fast. Okay, so now I do see that the altitude kind of locked to, you can see that the blue bar kind of locked in on it at 3,000. So maybe it'll stay at 3,000 now. Okay, so again, the approach plate says from Budar, no procedure turn is necessary, so don't have to worry about that. All right, 3,300. So now Toby is the initial fix of. So is the initial start point of the inward route to the approach. I believe I turn the approach button on once we get on that. All right, so we did hold at 3,000, but now we're getting slow, so I'm gonna add some power here. Now again, in a Cessna, if you've done any of the I ratings or I ratings in a Cessna and like Pilot Edge or whatnot, you can tell that those long approaches definitely take forever in a Cessna. So I'm gonna keep the speed up and then go to a more of a landing configuration closer to the ground. All right, so we're there now, and we're gonna hit approach hold, and that should. Let's see, autopilot approach. Okay, so now we're cleared down to 1,800. No, you know what? Something's not going on here. Oh, there we go. I had to hit it twice. Alright, so we're going to pull some power here. And we're going to descend down to 18 at a nice and easy 500 feet. So I can't really tell right now if the plane, it says LNAV plus vertical, but it's not, it doesn't feel like it's GP. I feel like that means that it's doing its thing and getting into where it needs to go. So really we just need to hold our airspeed right. You can see the airports in front of us. Okay, so we got our landing light on. Strobe's off. Everything's checked. We're going to slow down and get ready for our first notch of flaps. So yes, vertical nav is in because we're right there at it's doing the VNav for us. So we're almost at 18. And now it's captured the glide. Okay, so let's get our RPMs down to 18. We'll go a little bit lower just so we can get these flaps in. We're still 3.5 nautical miles out. Alright, so let's get some flaps in. Pretty much totally hands off. I want to see, I'm really testing to see if I'm working the autopilot the way it should be. And it does seem like it caught it. Got it back on trust the systems. That's the biggest thing about IFR is trusting it. And like I said, this is right. That's beyond, right on the edge of being beyond the Cessna's crosswind profile. I believe it's 15 knots is the highest. So this is actually a bad um, procedure or approach to shoot, but it's cool to kind of test it in the sim. And I still don't think we're going to be very good this weekend because the winds are going to be out of probably the opposite direction. So, but this is the only approach into the airport. So gliding along, nice, steady. We're going to drop a little bit more throttle, get down, and I'll probably put in one more notch of flaps. Now we'll land it with one notch, but I am going to come off the autopilot in a second. I want to get some hands-on flying. Alright, so I need to retrim. Good crosswind. Crosswind plus tailwind, really. It's kind of rough. Adding a little bit more trim. Ooh. Floating a little bit here. Oh man, I haven't flown Cessna in forever. Okay, come on, hold on. Didn't kick that rudder over fast enough, but man, it is definitely fighting me. So I guess the tire screeching came back on 11.3 because that is rough. That went away in 11.26. Man, I cannot. This thing's almost uncontrollable right now. I'm definitely gonna have to check these settings and get these a little bit better than they were, because I felt like I had almost no rudder input there at all. The landing plugin is if you go on the org forum, the explain.org, just search in landing rate plugin, and you'll find it. Um, it's just a Lua script that will read your feet per minute. A lot of people say it's not a really very accurate, but at least it gives you some good idea of you know how well you did on that. That was kind of a little bit of a float, but I haven't flown the Cessna in a little bit. But there you go, guys. LPV approach in Florida. I guess in that's kind of one of those lessons to be learned right there. That if you're flying VFR and you ended up in a IFR situation or IMC situation, um, knowing how to get out of it and trusting your equipment to be able to get you into somewhere. I mean that, like I said, that was borderline of what the Cessna could handle as a crosswind, 15 knots. Pretty much sure if you look in the manual, I think it's 15 or 16 knots crosswind, and so that was rough. But we got in, and we'll see what the conditions will be like on Saturday. But we're gonna sit here and I'm gonna shut down. But I thank you guys for tuning in today for this quick little flight. If I would have had more time and I didn't have to work tomorrow, I would definitely probably go back to St. Augustine. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow as we'll come back on. What, tomorrow's Thursday. We'll pick up for where we are today, because I know in Florida tomorrow will be IFR conditions. So what we'll do is I'll try to get on tomorrow, and we'll get on and we'll fly back to St. Augustine. Now, St. Augustine has a nice ILS approach and GPS approach from the other side. Let's see, what do we got? We got ILS from 3.1. We got an RNAV for 3.1 and 13. And we have a VOR approach from 1.3. If the winds stay like this, I wouldn't mind shooting something difficult like that. It'd be fun. And we got a recent follow, and of course I don't have myself set up, so Omer Babe, I think. Thank you for the follow. Paxis, thank you for the follow. I'm glad you enjoyed the content tonight. Like I said, tomorrow maybe if I can get on, if all things go well with the baby, what we'll do is we'll leave Keystone Heights and go back to St. Augustine and shoot whatever approaches good for the conditions. So, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much for being here. It was kind of a one-off stream, but I do not have a schedule for sure. But if I do go live, I do post. I'll post it up in my Discord, so I'll give you guys the link to the Discord right here. And any of the older videos videos of flights, if you want to check them out, I am GA Sim Pilot on YouTube, and you'll see all my uploads from there. So waiting for Discord to open so I can post that link. But you guys ever have any questions or whatnot? Like I said, I'm working to try to get a PPL in real life. But I've been around aviation for a long period of time. I've done a lot of flights. If they were loggable, I'd probably have about, I'd say 20 hours so far. So that's for sure one of the reasons why I want to get my PPL, because every time I keep going up with people, I'm not really getting any hours when I'm actually flying. So for sure, very interested in getting that going. So, and I haven't had Discord open in forever, so of course it's updating. So, let me see if I missed anything in chat. And Pexis, I do like flying the Just Flight Piper too. So, so for sure, stay tuned because, like I said, if I can get back into flying again, I primarily fly GA. I want to get up to Alaska and do some of the. I want to fly the 182 or 180. Yeah, 182. Cessna 182. I haven't flown in a while. I want to get in there, fly that tail dragger. Also have the Aerosim Gaming um, Super Cub that I have not flown forever. So I definitely want to get back into that. So I'll find some flights that we can do with that. So there's a link to Discord. Just go ahead and if you're interested, join up. And I usually post any of the different things that I do. Wouldn't mind if I can get solid periods of time where I know I won't can't be distracted in real life. I wouldn't. I would probably be up for some FS Cloud group flying into in GA aircraft as well. So, anyways, thank you guys for joining. Have fun, and and I'll see you guys later. Right. Good night.